Now question may arise in your mind that what happens in the surface. In the previous short video that you have seen that something that happens in the surface, we learn about that is surface chemistry. Now what happens in the surface? Sir, give us some examples that happens in the surface, otherwise how will you understand? You are forgetting that corrosion occurs in the surface. Adsorption to today you will learn. That is true. Okay, corrosion occurs in the surface. Dissolution occurs in the surface. Starts to occur in the surface. Okay, catalysis that I have just mentioned occurred in the surface. So these are the phenomena which occur generally in the surface. Electrode processes occur in the surface. You forgot electrode processes occur in the surface. Suppose electrolyte is there, anode is there, cathode is there. Okay, so deposition of any metal occurs in the surface of the cathode. If you forget, evolution of the gas from the anode occurs at the surface of the anode. So lots of surface processes are there. Okay, so these are some examples of surface processes. Surface processes. Now adsorption, if I talk about this adsorption, we will learn. Now what is the general concept of adsorption? Now to understand the general concept of adsorption, we should compare adsorption with absorption. Now many people confuse that, so that's why I am telling you adsorption and absorption. In absorption, suppose a sponge is there and sponge is taking water. Now the water that will enter inside the sponge will spread in the entire body of the sponge. This is absorption. And in adsorption, what happens? The water molecules will stick on the body of the substance and will not be able to enter inside the bulk phase. Bulk phase, the term that I like to use, will not enter inside this is the bulk phase. Okay, bulk phase means the internal phase. It will not enter inside the bulk phase. It will remain in the surface. This occurs, this is a common example. Adsorption ka common example. Suppose in new bags you find silica gel, don't you? So silica gel or SiO2, silica, not silica gel, silica, SiO2. This silica is harmful, but small packets of silica is put inside anything new what to say, suppose you buy a new laptop or new gadget or a new bag, you will find silica gel inside it. Why? Because it absorbs water. Sir, now question arises, one intellectual question people may ask, why not something which absorbs is put inside such bags? Why? Because if it absorbs, it will totally become weight by itself. Okay, which can be harmful again. If it reaches it becomes totally weight by itself, then it would be itself becoming weight and can harm your gadget. But when it adsorbs and not absorbs, the molecules will stick to the surface. Okay, and then you give an extra one, depending on how much moisture can be there, the molecules will stick on the surface. Itself it will not become weight. That you should remember. Itself it will not totally become weight. So your substances will really be safe. So I hope that the clear understanding of adsorption and absorption is clear. Now to understand this chapter, a little bit of thorough reading is also required. I'll read something with you and then we will also explain. See, look here. The situation existing at the surface of a liquid or a solid is different from that in the interior. That I explained here. The surface is different from the interior. Interior is known as the bulk phase. Okay. For example, a molecule in the interior of a liquid is completely surrounded by other molecules in all the sides, and hence the intermolecular forces of attraction are exerted equally in all directions. Okay. So that means they are trying to mean that if there is a molecule in the bulk phase, now suppose if I talk about this molecule is attracted by this molecule, this molecule, this molecule, overall balanced in all directions, this molecule, this molecule. Now same will be the condition for each of them, but however, if you put molecules in the surface, then what will happen? This molecule will be pulled inward, but this balance will not be done by any molecule upward, because these are the surface molecules. So the situation inside the bulk phase is very different from the situation in the surface. How and why? Because the intermolecular forces of attraction, intermolecular forces of attraction are balanced for each particle or each molecule in the bulk phase, but it is not balanced in the surface. Now if you remember in your very junior classes, maybe in class 9, it was there that this is the reason for existence of adhesive forces, and also adhesive forces. You remember what is adhesive force? I'll tell you. Suppose for example you put measuring cylinder is there. You see this measuring cylinder in your chemistry lab day in and day out. In the measuring cylinder, when you put water, you see water taking this kind of shape. This is called a missile shape, upper missile and lower missile. Upper meniscus and lower meniscus, a meniscus shape. So this type of shape. Why do you think the water took this shape? Now I'll explain you. Suppose the water was like this, okay. Now there is adhesive force between the particles or the surface particles of the glass and the surface particles of the liquid. And due to that attraction, it rises up like this. And due to the attraction, it rises up like this. That's why you get this kind of shape. So this is known as adhesive force. Adhesive force is the force existing between surface particles of one substance with the surface particle of another substance. And the force of attraction between the particles of its own substance is known as cohesive force. Cohesive force is very high in mercury, if you remember. That's why it forms golla structure all around and doesn't spread or doesn't flow. Okay, so I hope we are not interested about cohesive force right now. In our surface chemistry, we are interested about adhesive force that I have told you. So this is a proof of existence of adhesive force. Existence is the proof that intermolecular force of attraction is balanced inside and remains unbalanced outside or in the surface. This is also is the reason of surface tension. This was also learned in lower class. Okay, surface tension. You know, the phenomena of surface tension was observed when we were kids. What happened is, suppose there was an idol of Lord Ganesha. Okay, now what actually happened is, suddenly a rumor came, Ganesh Thakur দুধ খাচ্ছে সত্যি সত্যি. Now what nonsense is this? It was very difficult to understand because people were going holding spoon with milk and the milk was taken by the Lord Ganesha. Now what was actually happening? People really became fool. But some science people, science teachers told that this is actually a phenomena of surface tension. This is nothing. This is actually a phenomena of surface tension. What actually happened is, what the Purohits used to do, they used to bath the Ganesh with lots of milk. Now when the film of layer in, suppose this is the surface of Murti, a film of layer has already formed. Okay, now what is happening when a layer is there, inside the layer the molecules are in the bulk phase, but in the surface of the layer they are not in the bulk phase and attracting other molecules. That's why when the spoon was being held, the milk was absorbed inside and people shouted Ganesh Thakur Shotti Shotti Dudh Khacche. So this is one interesting example that came in my mind, I gave you. So I hope that you understood that what is the difference that occurs in the bulk phase and in the surface. So let us move ahead with our understanding. a molecule at the surface of a liquid is surrounded by larger number of molecules in the liquid phase and fewer molecules in the vapor phase. That's true. That is what I have said. A larger number of molecules in the liquid phase and a fewer molecules in the vapor phase. That's true. Okay, in the space above the liquid surface. That is true. As a result, these molecules lying at the surface experience some net inward force of attraction which causes surface tension. Like I said, a big example given, now they are writing. Similar inward forces of attraction exist at surface of the solid. Alternatively, in case of certain solids such as transition metals, there are unutilized free valencies at the surface. This we know, right? This I think I have told you in solid state chapter that not only in the surface of the liquid, there will exist inward forces, but also if there is a solid, okay, suppose a solid, intermolecular force is very high and the solid is there, still surface में जो molecules है that will exert forces outside, means that will that will experience a force inward, due to which an attractive kind of force will be exerting on the surface. That is true. And in some transition metals like nickel, if you see nickel ka structure like this, so even if you put nickel here, in the surfaces what? Free valencies are existing. These are free valencies which are existing in the surface. So elements can come and occupy those free valencies, but will never enter inside the bulk phase. So this is a surface phenomena happening. I hope you understand this particular thing that I have explained in this video.
Sir, emulsion की example